through. Johnny is my co-host and is also working with Dr. Wale.
Yeah. I'm just super excited. I mean, just listening to him, I could listen to this man, for days. Doc, I'm just wondering, because right now we are living in unprecedented times. And, you've just talked about making snap decisions. And there is never a time like the present. We have never seen what we are seeing right now. There's nothing, absolutely nothing to benchmark against, So where do we go from here, Doc? Where do we go from here? Because people are talking about the new normal. Where do we talk about? Because the economy is down, then the churches are down, the institutions are down. Doc, where do we start, Doc?
I think it's fantastic, because think of what you just said, Johnny. We've never been here before. So that means nobody on the face of the earth has any experience on what a post-COVID life is like. Now, that is fantastic. Nobody has any experience, so we can define it.
Wow.
And once we define it, we make noise about it. Nobody has any experience, so nobody can tell us we are right. Nobody can tell us we are wrong. Hey, it's the opportunity.
Interesting. So this is a redefining moment. It's a redefining moment per se.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Look, let me give you an example. Geoffrey, I've always wanted to start a university, okay? In fact, in 2011, I brought someone on board saying, how do we start a university? And I wanted to start a different kind of a university, because think with me, the founders of the first university on earth were not graduates, okay? So
yeah, interesting. Okay?
That is because if they were starting, they were not graduates. Now that means some people decided we are going to issue a paper to some people after they have studied with us for some time. We will call it a degree, and it stuck. You understand? It stuck. Everybody began to do that. Now, if they were not graduates, that means their lecturers were not graduates. All right? So, what was the model? It was more of an apprenticeship model, where people who have excelled, people who have thrived, are able to pass their skills on. It is like what Jesus did with his disciples.
Hello, Doc. I think
all sorts of distractions.
All right.
And then the entry level was so high. So Corona, late last year, we now started having classes again for the Street University. We got our facilitators and all that. Then Corona happened. My goodness. Suddenly, the floodgate was opened. Everybody was willing to learn. Everybody was, so that is what we did. We have already started programs. We are launching officially on the 1st of August, and it's going to be like a Netflix for empowerment.
Wow. Amazing. I mean, there's nothing better than what you've told us, that everybody can redefine where they're starting, and what they will start will actually be right. And Doctor, thank you very much. Someone is saying value, my value. How do I define my value? And I think you could talk to us about finding purpose. I know we were supposed to talk about leadership, but I have got a question about purpose. You realized your purpose in life. How can someone who has been displaced and misplaced by COVID-19 realize their purpose again? I mean, we have seen, and let me just say this, Dr. Wale, we have seen even preachers, starting new things. We've seen on TV, well, the titles may not be very interesting. Someone talked about Mayaya Mubiri. I don't know whether you are now popular with Kiswahili, but the eggs of a preacher. It may not sound very good, but basically people are pivoting, people are shifting. How can someone find their value right now?
I don't want us, I actually think there are some people who have been released from a job to go and discover their purpose for living. Purpose is, what was I born to do? All right?
Yes.
What was I born to do? And Jesus did something very profound one day. He said, "Who do men say that I am?"
Okay.
Then the answer is now, say, "Who do you say that I am?" Okay. Now, I've found out there are certain things that will happen when you are right in the center of that purpose. Number one, what would you do if money was not a consideration? That's one way, because you find out that a lot of people have worked in places they detest. The work is like a prostitute. I don't really like this job, but it pays my bills. Okay. Now, if you were in that category and you have been let off, you should go and do Thanksgiving and say, "Okay, finally, my prostitute has fired me." You understand?
Yes.
So, what would you do if money was not a consideration? Then, another question you need to ask yourself: what area of your life do people just naturally praise you? You see, everybody has that. Look, I have a clock here. I don't know if you can see it. I have a clock there.
Yes.
It is a very beautiful clock, but it is not working. It is broken, but I kept it there as a decoration. So it's no more a clock, it's a decoration. Now, even though it is broken 2 times every day, it tells the correct time. Twice a day, it will tell the correct time.
Yes.
Even a broken clock is correct twice a day. So it does not matter how messed up somebody is. There is something correct about you. You may not see it, but people are seeing it. So that's why Jesus said, "Who do men say that I am?" So take note, observe. David was going to meet Goliath. You know what he did? He recollected, I killed a lion, I killed a bear. Every human being has their lion and bear. Where you spoke one day and people said, "Oh my God, that was wonderful." You gave somebody advice, people said, "Oh my God." You need to take note of those things. All right? So money is not a consideration. The place where praise naturally comes to you. Then what is that area where people naturally defer to you for your opinion? The Bible says, "Where the word of a king is, there is power." All right? Who can say, "What doest thou?" One translation says that you have the last word. Every one of us on this panel, there is somewhere where you have the last word. Look, no matter how good I may be at what I do, when it comes to cooking, I am useless. Somebody else has that last word.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, so money is not a consideration. I get praise. People naturally defer to me. I don't have to demand their respect. They naturally defer to me. They are seeing something. All right? Now, so these are questions you need to ask. And then, what area do I normally get ideas that can be implemented?
Yes.
I'm not talking of going to build a skyscraper on Mars. I'm talking of practical ideas that you can implement. Now, when you are able to answer these questions, do you know what? And one thing I have noticed is that as you begin to answer these questions, many times you will discover the answer is the same.
Wow.
What will I do without money? I will empower, I will pour my life out to empower people.
Wow.
What is it? What area do I normally get praise? Whenever I empower people. What is it that people defer to me and they want me to have the last word? When I am empowering people.
Wow.
What area do I get ideas that can be implemented when I'm empowering people? I've never had an idea on how to increase the structural strength of some structure somewhere. I don't have those ideas, but mine is empowering people. If you can find answers, if you can ask those 4 questions and sit down, have a meeting with yourself, what will be staring you in the face is what you are born to do.
Amazing. Dr. Wale, thank you. I mean, we can hear you forever. I just want to ask you this, back to leadership, and you've mentored so many managers, government officials, presidents. What if you were to advise a young person, or even let me not say young people because you're a mixture of different ages here, what is maybe 1 or 2 mistakes that you've seen leaders do that you can warn us today? Please don't touch this button as a leader. Would you kindly enlighten us on areas that you feel leaders make mistakes we need to understand today?
One of the big mistakes I think a lot of people make is confusing intelligence for relevance. The fact that you are intelligent does not mean you are relevant. And relevance is when it comes from the word to resonate. Okay? I have found out that it's very easy, to have big programs, grandiose programs that are not resonating. They are not solving real problems, and I always give the example. Take Africa today. What is the biggest problem in Africa today? It is food. How do we feed ourselves without stress? So let me tell you, food security is national security.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
So that means, as a leader, my number 1 priority, and it starts from the micro all the way to the macro, wherever you are, your number 1, if all you are thinking about is, how do I ensure that my people can eat and live comfortably? You see, when we address the real problems, the problem to solve all problems, when we address that, it will affect security, it will affect the economy, it will affect every other thing we are trying to do. But unfortunately, because a lot of leaders want to be measured on, it doesn't sound like a big thing if you say, all we are going to do is make sure you guys can eat. Instead, we come with massive programs that we think, are the solutions, but they're not the solutions. And then I would tell leaders, beware of assumptions, especially straight line. I call them straight line assumptions. Straight line assumptions always are defined by all things being equal. And the reality is, all things are rarely equal.
Wow. That's interesting. I want to, before we move on, I want to throw this to the plenary. And please, if you have a question, you can ask Dr. Wale, because I am not a qualified, actually, host here. I can see people, like I said, people like Jennifer and men of God that I've seen here. if you have a question that you want to ask Dr. Wale now, I want to open that window for anyone. I will unmute and then you'll ask Dr. Wale a question that you feel this is a must question. Please, let me see by a show of hand so that I can do that. Meanwhile, let me ask Jennifer again. Let me bring you back, Jennifer, because the Jennifer I know has trained, has taught, I've listened to her talk, and I would want to either you ask Dr. Wale or you make a mention of a comment that would complement what Dr. Wale is saying. Jennifer, back to you, Jennifer Karina. Hi, Jennifer, can you hear me? All right, I think, I don't know whether I had seen her on. Johnny, do we have someone who has lifted their hand? I'm trying to moderate at the same time. Or I'll ask people that I know can ask a question. Let me pick a man of God from Mombasa, Mr. Francis, Reverend Francis from Mombasa. I want to hear at least two people from different sectors ask a question. Reverend Francis, can you hear me from Mombasa?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please come through. Is there something that you would want to ask Dr. Wale?
Maybe on the meeting on matters, matters on spirituality. Maybe to just ask how we can be able to moderate the situation that is, because there's a lot of confusion right now in our nation. We have people who want to go to church, others don't want to go to church, and leaders are in conflict about that, and some of them have been victimized because of that situation. How maybe you can overcome that spiritual victimization in a situation. I know he has tackled on matters maybe business and leadership on the other side, but the spiritual side. There's that side of victimization.
All right, Dr. Wale, did you hear Reverend Maina on the matters of church and spirituality?
Please, can you help me? It was a bit low.
Okay, he's asking, what would you advise, on how the church can work the situation? Because as it is right now, there is go back to church, people are afraid about COVID, and I think that's a question. And then also, what decisions should the leaders of spiritual, aspect of life do right now, or the men of God, what should they do right now? I think as you answer that, I will get another person from the business sector. Dr. Wale, I know you're a man of God.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know why I think we complicate a simple thing. Let's look in the Bible, so many instances, but I think the most popular one is in Egypt when there were plagues, and God gave an instruction: stay in your house, mark your lintels with the blood until the plague is over. And there are so many places like that. I think we should put the love for the people before any other thing. That as a leader, I remember when I talked about the general, as a leader, my job is to protect my people. Okay, I've seen preachers go and say, well, we are people of faith. Not everybody is at the same level of faith. You may be a person of faith, and you have some generals of faith in your midst. Congratulations. But when you now insist everybody comes, what happens to those people who are not at your level of faith? I think we should be more considerate. My not going to an assembly, and you need to remember that even in the early church, in Acts of the Apostles, the first New Testament church did not show up for 300 years until after Jesus, 300 years after Jesus had been ascended. You know, they were meeting from house to house. So, you know what? Every day I have service in my house with my family. If that is it, then do that. Break bread. But let your love for the people supersede every other thing. If you love God, love his people and protect his people.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wale. I want to go to the institutions, learning institutions. And I know I have Dr. Nafula Waswa from KCA University. And I want to request Dr. Nafula, would you want to ask a question relevant to, learning institution and the future of learning?
Okay. Thank you, Kilonzo. Happy to see Dr. Akinyemi.
Thank you, Doc.
I've read so much about you. I'm so excited to see you. Okay, my question is to do with students. We have had to switch from physical learning to online learning, and so many students are finding it difficult, either because either their parents are not able to finance them to attend the online learning, and they're saying it is a bit difficult to adjust from the physical to the online learning. And some of them have even, they appear to be so frustrated, they appear to be giving up. What can you, Dr. Wale, tell our students at this moment?
All right. First of all, change is not automatic. The best of us will resist change because the best of us will always prefer status quo to change. Why do we prefer status quo? It is what we know. So there's always a temptation to confine ourselves with what we know. And that's why many times change is resisted. So that means if we want to become change compliant, we need to change what we know. I think it was not a very, very smart decision to expect everybody to automatically understand, and we just tell everybody, okay, go on Zoom, go online. Some people don't have a clue. So the first thing we should have done was get people, even psychologists, get them involved to break in the process and share with people, okay, now we are going to go online. Are you comfortable with this? Blah, 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 and help them to understand what it will be like. But we didn't do that. What we just did was we just told everybody, get on Zoom, with the assumption that they know exactly what the experience is like. If we had had that situation, then we would have been able to break them in properly. Then we would have been able to help address the fears they may have had, that, okay, I don't have a computer or I don't have this. We would have been able to help them address this. We would have been able to look for, okay, look, learning must go on. Let's reach out to some organizations that can help us. Even if it is reaching out to telecoms companies, okay, please, can you help us with a special package for bundles or whatever, all right? But just throwing the students into the deep end without preparation, I think it was not fair on those students.
All right, that's awesome. Before we go to the final question, someone is asking about transitioning, Dr. Wale, about transitioning from one generation to another. And of course, it was a very short question on Facebook. I don't know what you would say about us transitioning from one generation to another in terms of leadership, and what you'd advise. Are we seeing a transition? The age that was before COVID and the age that will be after COVID, is there a transition of leadership?
You know, I've always felt like we should not confuse maturity with the age of the calendar, or date of birth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think what is more important is the processing power and the adaptability of our minds. Okay, so
right.
You have just heard we have students who are not able to adapt easily to this. Yet, we have people in their 70s and 80s that I know who have been able to adapt to it. You know, so we should not confuse that. However, that being said, one of the things that is so important, there's a company I was looking at. It's called Hoshniroikan. It's a Japanese hotel that has been in existence since the year 718 AD. All right? 718 AD. Then there is the Antinori family in Italy. They make wine, and they have been in existence since the year 1385 or something like that. Now, you need to understand, these guys survived First World War, Second World War, all the world wars before that, Spanish flu, the plague, everything that has come before that, they survived. Why? Because it is so important. The highest point of success is succession. And I think it is something that we should, as Africans, begin to look seriously at. Because when you look at, I mean, think of a company in existence since 718, continuously. How many companies do you know that are African companies that have been in existence since 1900? You know, so those are some of the things we need to ask ourselves. Okay.
Fantastic. I had Paul Duo, who had lifted his hand. I can't trace him. Paul, if you can hear me, get ready before we close. We are almost done. But Johnny has a question. Johnny, please ask Dr. Wale that question.
Doc, I was wondering, I can't let you go before you tell us what's on your mind, sir. You know, I know you as a serial strategist, and I'm just wondering, what's the next big thing? You know, look at something that you can give us, that we can go with. What's the next big thing in business? I'm sure you need something to tell us.
All right. And
Why
Dr.
should I tell you when I'm doing
it? Dr. Wale, even with what Johnny has asked, I would want to add on that. I have listened to you talk about sectors that are dying completely and sectors that are rising. And you mentioned that when you were starting. Kindly, would you want to, in a few minutes, tell us which sectors do you think are going to be completely affected and going to die? And maybe if there is something they can do to keep going, and which ones do you think are going to rise and people can focus on right now?
Wonderful.
All right, I think anything to do with, I was reading something, and it was talking about business sectors that are thriving right now. So let me give you the facts first before I give an opinion. The facts on the ground: pharmaceuticals and healthcare are doing very well. Consumer goods, you know, grocery stores around the world have been doing very, very well. People are stocking up, you know, buying food, toilet rolls and things like that. E-commerce is doing very well and will do even better. Home entertainment and social media platforms, those are areas that will do very, very, very well. And so, so when you ask, those are areas, I think, from where I see it, I feel that information is going to be at the top of the post-COVID ladder. Information. You see, because everybody is coming out, or everybody will be coming out. Like I said, nobody has any experience in a post-COVID world.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that can position themselves as having answers will do very, very well.
Wow.
I think we're also going to see a shift. When I looked at what happened in some of the media houses and letting go of a lot of people, there's going to be a shift where TV, as we know it, is going to shift. More people, and it's already happening, are going to be watching more of what we're doing now, more of personalized videos. You know, I mean, we put out on Wale Akinyemi resource page, we put out some videos, you know, super homes and all that. And some of them, you're having there was one we had 140,000 viewers.
Wow.
You know, on the average, on a bad day, we have 20,000 viewers. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then interactions and all that. So I think there's a shift into personalized content. Okay. And that's an opportunity for everybody right now, because you no longer have to be NTV to get your voice out there. You no longer need to know somebody at KTN or K24. No. If you strategize it properly, you can develop your stuff, put your stuff out there, but just again, information, learn the dynamics, learn about algorithms, learn about the policies of different social media things. A lot of people don't know, if you put an ad on Facebook and there's a lot of words on it, it will not move as fast as if you have just a picture. If you put an ad on Facebook and your letters cover more than 20% of the surface area of your ad, it's not going to move fast. You know, so you need to learn. There are guidelines. People need to learn all these things. But I think information and personalized content, I think there's a great opportunity there for anybody at all.
Wow, amazing. Thank you very much, Dr. Wale. We are almost time. We have just like 2-3 minutes to close. Once again, it's amazing to always listen to you talk. Please, from your heart, I want to release what you have in mind for the people. What would you tell us as your parting shot that we'll live to remember Dr. Wale with?
Number one, Wale will always be in your face, so I will always remind you of myself. I'm not going anywhere, you know.
Yeah.
But I think my biggest challenge to everybody is make sure that you are relevant. It's not enough to be intelligent. Intelligence is seasonal. Intelligence has geographical boundaries. You know, intelligence has its time barred, you know, but you need to, what solution is your intelligence bringing? You see, when we went to school, unfortunately, we studied to be able to pass exams. If you look at the developed, and we've studied to be able to get papers, people need to study now to solve problems. That is when your intelligence is relevant. I started the Street University. I'm bringing in lecturers from all over the world. I call them content developers. You want to learn how to cook jollof rice, you will get it at Street University. You want to learn how to make these things that I wear, you will get it at Street University. You want to learn how to lead a Fortune 500 company, you will get it there. Now, I've brought together people whose intelligence is solving problems. So that's my heartbeat, and that's my parting shot, that whatever you do, stay relevant. What you think is a great idea might be a very useless idea if it is not solving problems.
Oof. What a way to end the show. What you think is a great idea might be a very irrelevant idea if it's not solving problems. Thank you so much for everyone. Dr. Wale is available on Facebook, Twitter, on Instagram, everywhere. I think Dr. Wale, if you Google Dr. Wale, you'll get everything that you need. Please follow Street University. It's an amazing, amazing show. Super Homes is an amazing, show. Everything that you want to know. Dr. Wale, thank you very much once again. I can see people already requesting for you to come back. He's very tight. His schedules are very tight, but again, we want to say thank you for a whole 1 hour plus that you've dedicated to us. God bless you so much. And for everyone who is watching us on Facebook Live and Zoom, God bless you so very much. Watch, follow us to know what we are doing. Dr. Wale, kindly share your number. I know you're a public figure, and some of these people, I've seen people who say they are following your Street University and they would want to join. Others want to join. I've seen a gentleman called Julius who publishes magazines, and he would want to have an article from you. So if you can share your number there or your contact, whichever way you would want.
All right, what I'm going to do, I'm typing it in the Zoom group chat.
Yeah.
My email is there. Then, so I've put that. Then there's a number I'm going to put here. 722 26578. So that is there. And then if you want to register for the Street or get more information about the Street University, I've put the details there, thestreetuniversity.com. All right. So that way you have me.
Thank you. God bless you so much, Dr. Wale, and thank you.
Thank you so very much for the opportunity. Thank you. It's a privilege. I don't take it lightly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Jenny Karina excused herself to attend to something, and that's why she left again. Thank you very much. Johnny, would you kindly tell us, just release us with grace, and then we call it a night. Thank you, and a big hello to my bishop. He knew that we are here with you, and he said a big hello.
Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Johnny, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm just amazed. Thank you so much to the great Doc. Doc, I'm just so amazed that you came through, and we are just so happy to have you. You're more like a father, like a mentor to me. I'm just so happy that you came through. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank God.
It was amazing having you.
God bless you. And this recording will be available on YouTube. Check my YouTube link, my YouTube account, Geoffrey Kilonzo, and you'll find this by tomorrow evening. It will be up and running. Please, you can share with us your contacts, and we'll be able to share more information on what we are doing. We also run trainings, but today it was Dr. Wale's day. So please follow Dr. Wale, and God bless you. We have to call it a night. All the men of God that came through, the business people, employees and staff and all. I know someone came with his boss. I saw my former chairman here. I've seen quite a number of people that I truly would want to acknowledge. God bless you so much, and have a blessed night. Thank you.